first one is, this is my second gig with glasses, and anybody who says wearing glasses is great is a fool. What? So they just make you see. It is like wearing stepladders on your nose. I don't like them.
Tonight, Gerry's requested we all be seated performers, which is very, as Michelle said, very Jill and Ori. Which
Unpacked a box, and all of his books have managed to stay close to each other. They're all in each other. It was like very satisfying to go like that.
Shit. I'm coming.
Performing a la Sandy Shaw tonight. If I'd share that with you. My name's Dominic, and really honoured to be hosting Gerry Potter's book launch. 50 is a fantastic book, and in the second half of tonight's proceedings we'll be hearing from the man himself, reading from there. This first bit I'm going to share a couple of my own poems, and then I'm going to hand over to Michelle Green, and then we've got Jackie Hagan before the interval, if that's all right with everyone.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I'm going to share a couple of my own poems, and Gerry Potter specifically asked I perform one of my really old poems. This poem, I'm gay, and sometimes I've been fat, and always I've been effeminate. Right? And so at school that was absolutely horrible, and I put the content, I'd heard of this street of Canal Street, and I really put it on a ludicrous pedestal. And I mean, don't get me wrong, now as a 33-year-old I think Canal Street's a really important place, and I'm so glad it existed. When I was a teenager I really thought, wow, Canal Street, that's where all the bullied children and you know, you'll never meet a racist gay. And you know, I was very bullied on Canal Street for being fat and for being effeminate. So this is my poem for Canal Street, really old one of mine called Tiny Butch. I know I need you less than I choose, but I'm back on the street where you bribed me with abuse till your body got blunt, wore down through overuse. Hello, Tiny Butch. It's the same old news. But now I know I've nothing that attracts you anymore. I'm camp and I'm fat and you've fucked me before, and I have no use while I'm still sore. I've no use, not while your body is a battle. Tiny Butch, active and full. You empty, fill and empty. You have emptied me to fill me, and you've filled me till I'm empty. Till I know that I've got nothing that attracts you anymore. I'm camp and I'm fat and you've fucked me before, but I'm no Tiny Butch. Well, you've no need for a camp fat blubber who won't bend and bleed, for a camp fat blubber who's embarrassed by his greed, for a camp fat blubber who trusted, believed. So now I choose to have you less in my life than I chose, because I'm no Tiny Butch. I've grown out those clothes and I have no use for those cheap loads. They're no use, not while those bodies are in battle. So Tiny Butch and active and full, empty, fill and empty. You won't empty me to fill me. You won't fill me till I'm empty, till I'm camp, fat and hollow, feel nothing anymore. Till I'm camp, fat, hollow and feel nothing anymore. Till I'm camp, fat and hollow and I'm hungry, so I feed. Now I choose to have you less in my life than I need. Thank you very much. So those of you who see me before might know a little bit about me, but I'm usually a bit more flamboyant than I am tonight. Gerry's requested we all be seated performers, which is very, as Michelle said, very Jill and Ori, which, which I think is beautiful. So I'm going to perform one of my quiet ones. I was once agoraphobic, and I spent a lot of time looking out of my window, and I'm vegan, so I'm fond of animals, not just the cute animals, all animals. One of my favourite animals are snails. So this time of year, it takes me forever to get anywhere because it's rainy, the snails come out and I have to pick them all up and move them. And they'll curse me because it's taken them ages to get, but they're in the pavement and I worry, so this is... So this is a poem not about snails on the street, but about snails on windowsills. Well, actually, no, it is about a snail on the street, actually. I tell a lie. But it's very much about being agoraphobic. It's a poem called Snail. It goes like this. When the rain calls snail out from sleepy snail dreams, crawling out a restful place no human eye has seen. Silent snail calls to rain. Let's wash this city clean. Trail wraps the paving cracks and litter in between. Rain is calling snail through the greying of the street, through a swollen puddle stretching out its concrete seat, and to a green-red apple, naked core torn, indiscreet. Apples travel half the world to fall, crushed under feet. I sit dry inside my flat as rain calls down to snail. People caught out in the storm curse the sleet and hail, and flail back to brick-high homes locked strong against the gale. Back inside our big brick shells, so wrapped in our own trail. Watch the green-red apple, tender innards, battered, split. Watch as snail passes by beside the apple pip. So easily killed, its small life spilled by just one similar hit. I watch that snail brave the rain from where I safely sit. Thank you very much.
Welcome, and I'm really chuffed to be here, Gerry, at your book launch. I said to Gerry earlier today, I've just moved. I'm unpacking boxes, and I unpacked a box, and all of his books have managed to stay close to each other. They're all in each other. It was like very satisfying to go like that. There's Gerry's stuff. So there's another one now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing. Okay, so I'm going to read you a story from this book that I've been writing for seemingly years and years. It's taking a really long time. In 2005, I went for 6 months to Darfur. I worked there with an aid agency that I had worked for in the UK. Darfur is the westernmost province in Sudan. We don't hear anything about it on the news now, but there was and still is a civil war happening there. And the town I lived in was called Janina, which is the capital of West Darfur, so it's really close to the border with Chad. So Janina, you need to know that, that's in the story. And I mentioned Janjaweed also, which are the government-backed militias who have been, for years and years now, burning villages and attacking people with the support of government bombers. So, this is one of the stories I'm writing. I'm writing, the collection is going to be lots of different narrators, but all of them are somehow connected to that area by work. So there's like market traders and aid workers and soldiers and people who are, young children who live in the area, rebel soldiers. I'm trying to look at all the different reasons why people are connected to that place and the different things that pull them there, hold them there, or push them away. So this one, a few of you have heard this one already. It's called Panic Room. And I think that's all you need to know for now. When death gets up close, it inspires a rebellion in almost everyone, some kind of counter-protest. I've heard people call it desert fever, but that's not what it is. I'm sure the heat is part of it, but so is the isolation, and more so the violence. It's some kind of survival thing from way back in our lizard brains, beyond culture or commitment or any of that, and it can have a person trying to climb right inside another, all teeth and skin, a friendly cannibal. There's been one Janina Aid baby born since the start of the mission, one that I know for sure. The mother was from the Netherlands, spoke 4 languages including Arabic. Didn't know her too well, but I remember catching sight of her after one of the coordination meetings and seeing another layer behind the sweat. I just knew. She finished her contract 6 weeks later and left. Apparently it's a girl, Annette. The father's still out here. There'd been a gunfight in the market between police and Janjaweed fighters. Annette's near-future mother was caught up in it, so she hid behind the front wheel of a jeep for almost an hour before she ran for the bushes and then home. By then she was full of sour adrenaline, alive, 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 and no doubt once she was back inside, she wanted to eat the world whole. I wonder about Annette, about who she'll become. A reference librarian or accountant maybe, a calm life in peacetime with that little piece of death defiance hidden somewhere in her like a seam of uranium. Today I'm building a panic room. It's right in the center of our compound, no windows obviously. The key thing is the doors, they open out with hidden hinges. They're the usual metal doors, but the hollow space in their panels will be filled with concrete. None of this was my idea. Rick came up with it and decided it was a security priority. He's written a protocol document focusing on a sustained compound attack, and the panic room is part of it. In the event of an armed attack, the women go in here, he tells me, and in the time it takes for an in-breath, I am one of the women. He glances at the floor, turns the page, and then once again I'm back to normal, a not man. It's a room within a room, right in the center of our main office space, about as big as a freight elevator inside. 2 builders finish off the main walls out of breeze block, filling each section of it with concrete as they go. Again, this is Rick's idea. I stand in the middle and stretch out my arms. They're 6 inches spare. All stations, this is golf base for all stations, stand by for radio check. 9 o'clock becomes the center of the evening, start of the curfew. We stand the handset on a stool in the center and listen like it's the Archers. We have to fill in a lot of the plot, of course, but that's what nights without electricity are made for. Echo Hotel 2 responding for all Echo Hotels, over. She's husky, got the smoky voice, a femme fatale with a gun in her evening bag, wears red, good eyebrows. Patrice has already decided she's the one, the love of his life. He reckons she'll have some dark family secret way back in the past, and that she'll fall hopelessly for him, November Bravo 3, when their eyes lock across the table at the security briefing next week. Plans, plans. The rest of us November Bravos laugh like drains at this. Patrice feigns indignance. Next to the regulars is Whiskey Papa 1, responding for all Whiskey Papas. He sounds Eastern European. All business, probably has IBS and a secret nail care kit. He's the older guy, the one with integrity and a bad temper. He knows his way around an engine, worked his way up from humble beginnings.